Okay, welcome back to the Madison Podcast. It's been a while. This might be our first one in like months and the first one of the new year. Today we have an exceedingly special guest, a gentleman that partnered up with Team Lavender recently, and the flow has actually been really good. I'm going to try to pronounce your last name again well, Mr. David Orellana.
Yes, perfect.
Hell yeah! Okay, welcome to the show that is viewed by billions across the globe and potentially in Mars in a few years. Let's see how Elon does. So David, tell our audience about yourself, what you do, and why you are thebomb.com.
Yes, so thank you for the introduction. Thank you for having me, first off. So I've born and raised in the Bronx all my life. My family's from, my mom's side is from Puerto Rico.
Oh, cool.
My dad is from Ecuador.
I'm going tomorrow. Well, to Puerto Rico.
Really?
Yeah, for like 2 days.
Okay.
Like, really quick. Nice.
Well, you enjoy it.
Yeah, first time.
So I guess to dive into real estate, which if no one knows, I'm a realtor.
Right.
What I do is, the reason why I got into real estate is, I guess you can go back a couple of years. I've always been an ambitious person. I always wanted to be a business owner. I just had no idea what to do. I had no idea what business. Maybe I thought of opening my own clothing line, but that didn't really, stick. And
Did fashion appeal to you?
Yes, very, very much so. I think that comes from my father. Like, we always never stepped foot out of the house without looking decent. You never know who you're going to run into the street.
I like that, actually. Yeah. That's not something that I do at all, actually. But that's... Yeah. No, you're right, because you never know who you're going to meet.
It's just something that it was instilled in me at a young age. And then, so to make a long story short, my mom was looking for a rental apartment in the Bronx. This was in 2022.
Gotcha.
And her realtor, actually, I met her realtor, cool guy. And up until that point, again, I was really struggling. I was like, I don't know what I want to do. I'm almost going to graduate college.
Right.
What do I want to do? So he, I asked him, like, what is the process of getting, licensed? And, he told me what it is. And then he was telling me, I'm closing deals every week. I'm driving 3 cars. And
what do you need 3 cars for?
I don't know. Maybe for every showing. I don't know. Yeah. So as a young 18-year-old kid, you hear that, you think, oh, I'm going to close a deal every week. That wasn't the case at all.
This is important because everyone needs to hear this.
Yeah.
It's like, they think it's so easy. You just get in. It's like, I'm just going to close and everyone will use me because they know, I'm in the business. It's not like that.
So I went online right away. I looked up the requirements again. I took the course, I want to say in November. I started in November, and I finally finished it like mid-January. Once I finished it, then I took the online test for the school. Right. To pass, and then I took the state test, passed both, and then late February, early March, I got licensed, got hooked up with Keller Williams in Scarsdale.
Okay, so David, before you continue, how did you go about choosing a broker?
So honestly, maybe I should have done a little bit more vetting in that aspect. I had a friend whose father was a realtor for about 20 years. He worked in Keller Williams Realty Group in Scarsdale. So I just saw it as a easy setup, in the sense where I wouldn't have to be, going crazy. Like, oh my God, I gotta go to this brokerage. I gotta see this brokerage. Obviously, I vetted them out. I asked them a few questions, and then I got onboarded, and I started working with a mentor, and pretty much went from there. And
so you had mentorship right away?
Yes, right away.
That's key.
And so then we went from there. So after that is when I was like, okay, I just got licensed. At the time, I was 19 years old.
Started young, too. That's awesome.
So, and it was 2023. Right. And that's when, the market was kind of, not the best.
That's a really polite way to say it.
Yes, yes. So, as you know, in 2020 and 2021, the market was crazy good. Deals would fall on your...
Those were good times. I would literally wake up with 3 text messages with brand new loans. Yeah. Okay, I need to refi, I need to buy. It's okay, I'm not going to say no. Yeah. It's different though. Because another thing that even we see on the mortgage side is the people that came into the business during the refi boom had a ton of difficulty adapting. Because when you learn and you're simply just an order taker, you don't know how to sell. You don't have the skill set. So the fact that you started in 23, right, is honestly, it's a blessing. And like I can see it just in the way that you do business, David. Like how on top of it you are. Every referral that you send over, like it's very. I feel like you stick to kind of like a routine. You're a detailed person.
Very.
So I want you to get into like how you develop like your business cadence as well, because especially given that I'm guessing you're 21.
Yes.
Right. So like, if you didn't tell me you're 21, I would not have guessed you were 21. I would think that you're like late 20s or something, right? Just because you come across as someone that is experienced. So can you talk to us about kind of how did you develop that? And also, do you have, because I hear this a lot from young agents too, is like how do they get over the fear of people not taking them seriously because they're young?
Yes, that's a big one. I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's something I actually talked to my friend about. I was like, how am I going to show up to a showing at the time as a 19-year-old,
right?
No experience whatsoever, never closed a deal. How am I going to show up with confidence and, be able to sell them on this property? And I think, honestly, this may not be the fancy answer, but it was just not think about it.
Right.
Think about what you would present yourself if you were a top producer. That's something I walk into every room, every showing, every time I meet a client for the first time, every closing. I walk in as someone who has closed many deals before, is experienced, even though I may not be.
Right.
It's just a mindset thing. It really is a mindset thing. I think if you let yourself get too frantic and just let it get to your head, it's going to get to your head. And
I think that's a great point, actually, because it's more of like an internal. It's an insecurity that other people don't really think about.
Yeah.
Right? As long as you're good at the job, your age is irrelevant, really.
Right.
Have you experienced a client saying something to you about your age ever?
Honestly, no. Maybe they thought about it in their head, like, oh, he's young.
Yeah.
Maybe over the phone they thought I was a little older. But no, not really. Which is something, like I said, I've really worried about. I was like, I'm really young. I think at the time I joined, I was probably one of the youngest people in the office. Yeah. Everybody in the office was like 30 plus. And I was like, some of them do. I would say some agents would look at me a little funny, like, what are you looking for, like a rental? Or no, I'm an agent.
Yeah.
So
that's hilarious. Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's going back to your first question. I think when it comes to staying on top of things, it's something that I just love to do. Like I'm a very habitual person. I cannot wake up out of routine.
Okay, so where did that come from? Like, is that maybe it came from your dad? You said he was
yeah, a little bit. Nothing really like sat me down like, hey, you have to have a routine. It was more like example.
Yeah.
He set an example for me.
This is more powerful, obviously. Like actions, you lead by setting the example.
It's simple things like making your bed in the morning.
Right.
That just mentally does something for you. Like, oh, I achieved one accomplishment at.
You a fan of Jordan Peterson at all?
I know of him. I'm not the hugest fan. Like I don't watch.
It's something that he says.
Okay.
Right. I'm not like huge into him, but I know of him too. Yeah. But like he always says like, in his Canadian accent, start your day by making your bed.
Right.
Right. Like.
Right. That's a good impression.
Thank you. Sorry. Yeah. But yeah. Sorry. Continue.
Yeah. No. So like I said, it's just it was more of like if I'm going to succeed, I have to have a routine of somebody who is someone who I want to be in the future, I guess. Like what does one thing I always think about is what does the person I want to be in the future look like? And let me copy those routines. Do they wake up at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, don't do anything, twiddle their thumbs and hope a deal comes across their table? No, they wake up early, they do their follow-up, they stay on top of any type of leads they get, they market themselves, and that's the type of routine I like to follow.
Right. So I'm going to ask you kind of like an opposite question. Is how do you go about pushing yourself to like take time off, decompress, relax? Because I asked this question, David, because I've been doing this much longer than you, but I kind of came up in a similar way. I was very structured, and it was almost impossible for me to take time off. I never wanted to take time off because developing the momentum of getting back into routine takes time. Right, and I never wanted to break it. So how do you go about, because you need to, right? You got to recharge. So how do you go about planning that, or is it just spontaneous? How do you work around it?
Honestly, to be honest with you, I feel like I work 7 days a week.
Yeah. Okay. So the answer is he doesn't.
I don't.
Yeah.
It's something that actually this past week I was at my desk working. I'm like, I feel tired. Like,
right.
And it's not only work. It's working out. It's life. You know, we're all human beings. We all have our things that we do for every day. But to answer your question, like I said, I don't. I really don't. I think it's something I definitely want to work on. I feel like for me, if I'm not working, I'm losing time, and time for me is a very valuable thing. Like, we're never gonna get time back, so that's why I just feel like I never want to waste time. I always want to be working if I have the chance to. Obviously, you can't work every single minute of every single day. Unfortunately not. But I don't know. It's something maybe you can recommend me something, since you said you dealt with it too.
It just took me. I would just get burnt out, really. That's what would happen. And then, so it would happen accidentally. So I get burnt out, too many, crazy phone calls at insane times. So the way that I do it is, it's quite simple. I have boundaries where I don't, certain times I won't pick up my phone or discuss any business, which, depending on the day, typically is 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. Some people, that sounds crazy, like you should be available all the time, and other people are like, that's way too late, like you should set it at 7. Yeah. But that's what works for me and my clients and the realtors that we partner with, because that's typically if there are after hours where they want to talk, that's it. And look, there's no real emergency in our business that warrants a phone call after 8 p.m. You know, there's you don't need to call your lender at 9:30 to verify that they got a pay stub or to discuss something. It could wait during regular business hours. And I also learned that over time is that the clients that would always call you late or demand to see you on weekends only and no flexibility in their schedule, they were always the first clients to leave me to save 1 cent. Right? Because they truly didn't value me, and most importantly, they didn't respect me. Because if I was bending over backwards for them, they're like, screw you, right? So that was really that. And then all else I really do is I just structure vacations. I told you I'm going to Puerto Rico tomorrow. It's a very short vacation. I fly out Friday midday and I come back Sunday midday. And just take little breaks here and there. And then while I'm working in the business, are you familiar with the 80-20 rule?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I focus, right?
Okay.
It's so 20, for those of you that don't know, it basically means 20% of the work you do is responsible for 80% of your results, at least earlier in the business. So my day is focused on that 20% and not the mundane thing. So it's another thing, David, that I'll talk about very quick, is that, and I was guilty of this at one point, is I would not convince myself, I would make myself feel better about my day with busy work, meaning just going over documentation, but things that didn't really make an impact on the business.
Right.
And it took me, unfortunately, years to figure out, this is not efficient. You need to go after, income generating activities, right? So stuff like that. I don't think that's the exact terminology, but you get it.
Yeah.
So that's really how I did it, but everyone, figures it out. I know some people that, like to work for 6-7 months straight and then take 1 month off. I don't feel like you can really do that in our business, but
not really. Unless you're generating income every single day.
Right, but look, if it works for them, it works for them. And look, some of them do really well that do that, and others don't do so well. But the ones that don't do so well, they're not trying to be world beaters. They're okay closing their whatever deals a year, and they're happy with it. So if they're happy with it, who am I to tell them to do anything differently? Yeah. Right, they're good. So that is my personal recommendation. But David, what I want to ask you as well, and let's go back to the discipline and the routine thing. Walk us through your typical working day, what time you get up, what are you checking, what are you doing, calls, etc. This always, as nerdy as this sounds, this actually fascinates me. Okay. I love this one.
Yeah. So let's start with the night before.
Okay. Even better.
So by 9 p.m. I'm in my bed. If I'm not working. If there's something I have to work on, that's fine. But usually by 9 p.m. I like to be in bed, settle down. If I have anything I want to pre-schedule for the next morning, I'll do that. By 10, 10 o'clock, 10:30 the latest, I'm lights out.
Nice.
I'm lights out. I wake up usually around 5:50, hit snooze,
Yep.
then wake up at
Normal.
6.
That's not bad. 10 minutes of snooze?
Give my 10
Dude,
minutes.
I'm like half an hour of snooze, minimum.
No,
That's great.
I try to limit myself. It's like, all right, give yourself 10 minutes, and then I just go. So, wake up at 6 a.m., high protein breakfast, because I'm really into the gym as well as far as real estate as well.
Yeah, as am I. So what do you typically eat for breakfast?
So for breakfast, I'll have like 5 scrambled eggs,
Oh, okay.
2 pieces of toast, 2 pieces of bacon, and I'll have like a waffle.
That's like a perfect, you
Yeah,
got your
and
carbs, you got
that's pretty
protein.
much every single day because I don't eat lunch until maybe like 5 or 6 hours later. So I just want something to hold me throughout that time.
So that's after gym
That's
in the morning?
No. So I work out. So I eat that. After that, I go into pretty much work mode. From 9 to 12-ish, I'm pretty much working.
Right.
And then 12:30, I will go hit the gym.
Wait, hold on, David. So 9 to 12, are you making calls, new calls, follow-ups?
So I'm doing mostly following up with any clients that I have. Any new leads that come in, I will pretty much give them a call. I also do a little bit of cold calling, but
Nice.
not much as I would like, but definitely getting into that more. And then
It's great, build skill and
Yeah,
character.
yeah,
I
build
think
skill
everyone should
and-
do it, even if you're especially if you're terrible at it, you should do it.
Yeah, I mean, you can't, especially in New York. I don't know how it is in other states. You come across a lot of people
Oh, yeah.
who are not the friendliest on the phone.
Yeah.
They'll curse you out. Oh, why are you calling me? You're the 30th agent calling me. So you definitely got to come in full force at the first 3 seconds. You got to get your point across. Try
Right.
to at least. But yeah, so then that's pretty much my whole morning. Afternoon, like I said, like around 12:30, 1 o'clock, I'm in the gym for about an hour and a half, and then after that, I go have some lunch, and then I'm back to working, and sometimes even in the gym.
Right.
Even though I know some realtors, they'll be like, no, like the gym is my time, like that's it. Like
But you could do both.
I could do both.
What's your workout split like?
So I don't do the typical like push pull legs. I do biceps, triceps, shoulders one day, and then another day I'll do legs, quads, hamstrings, glutes, and then
What's your least favorite leg exercise?
honestly, I love legs. Like I love
Nice.
that's my
Yeah.
favorite.
You are a sadist. What's your favorite? I hate
I
it.
love I don't know what it is. I just love. I think I could feel. I could put more pressure on my more weight. I lift more
Oh,
weight
yeah.
with
Yeah.
legs.
So it's like squats and
Squats
typical,
lunges and stuff like that.
I hate lunges, man. So I've had a couple like medical things going on over the past few years, but there's one exercise I absolutely despise, but I do it twice a week simply because the ROI is so strong, and it's simple.
Yeah,
It's just reverse lunges holding dumbbells, but heavy dumbbells. I'm doing like 50s and 60s, but it's beautiful because it works your forearms, your traps. I'm not using straps, and I hate my life over that 10-15 minute period where I'm doing it, but it gets you back into shape. It's like so quickly. Nothing's better, honestly, for me at least.
Yeah, and I think one thing with the gym and work, it both requires discipline. I think those go both hand in hand. And I believe, from what I've seen, a lot of entrepreneurs, I think fitness is a big part of their life.
I agree.
They both, like I said, they both go hand in hand.
Well, the numbers don't lie when it comes to the gym, right? And business is the same way. So it's like if the weight isn't increasing or your repetitions or it's slow, whatever metric you're using to measure progress, then that means you need to change something. And business is the exact same way. If your numbers aren't increasing or your leads aren't increasing, conversion, whatever it may be, you have to change something. So I think that they do go hand in hand. And of course, like the other part of it, so like I'm similar to you, but I don't work out after breakfast. I get nauseous very easily, at least when it comes to that. But it sets the tone for the day. It gets the endorphins going too. You feel great. Your confidence is great. You're pumped up. You're like, So it's just a great way to set your day up for success. And for some people, it's like, oh, it's hard to get into it. But no, not really. Like the beginning is easy.
The beginning is for some people it's a little more challenging, but
I have a trick for that.
okay.
Right. So if you're starting to go to the gym, I was a personal trainer for like 3-4 years before I did mortgages. It was like my college job.
Okay.
And the thing to do if you're just trying to get to the gym is go to the gym and do whatever you want. If you want to do bicep curls, do bicep curls for an hour. If you want to just do leg extensions, do that. But the key is, like, most people have difficulty getting there. So it's like, imagine like you're having trouble getting to the gym and you say to yourself, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do 4 sets of squats, then deadlifts and front squats and pull-ups and like all these very heavily taxing exercises that exhaust you. It's not going to work because in your head, it's so tough. So it's like every time I have a stint where I'm off the gym for like, let's say 2-3 weeks, or let's say even worse, like 2-3 months, right? I go back and all I do is like, I'll walk on the treadmill, maybe do a little jump rope, because to me that's fun. I love doing jump rope. And, just like easy exercises. And then after like a week or two, my strength is built up just from being in the motion. And then that's when I'll be like, okay, like Monday, chest, these 2 exercises. Right. But that is my little trick, and it's been working for me for years. I've been going to the gym religiously since I was 18, with no longer than...
It's a big part of
no longer than 3 months break. It should be, honestly. I think it's just
not
something
only aesthetic, it's healthy. It's healthy for the end of the day.
It's super healthy.
Yeah, and I think also comparing the two, I feel like if you're not putting yourself in a situation where you're gonna fail, like if you there's sets where you do until failure, right? To grow, and with that, whatever it is, whether it's real estate or the mortgage business or whatever it is, entrepreneur, if you're not putting yourself in a situation where you're gonna fail, you're not gonna reach new levels. You're gonna stay stagnant.
Most people are scared to do that, though.
Yes, they're very comfortable where they're at, and that's why they never grow, or they fall off.
Do you have a trick for that? I don't, by the way. I don't have a trick for it. It's not a trick question. Like a trick to, like, how do you push yourself to get uncomfortable? Because, look, it's something that people always say. You hear it at every seminar. You have to be uncomfortable in order to grow, which is true, but it's really it's a mental battle, right?
It is. It definitely is a mental battle. I just think, again, it just really goes back to discipline, because for me, discipline outweighs motivation.
Right.
You can be motivated right now to go hit the gym, but that doesn't mean you're going to be motivated the next hour.
Yeah, just go.
Discipline. Like, I don't want to do it, but I'm going to do it. And tying it back to real estate, I think discipline and that mindset of not wanting to stay stagnant, for me at least, I just constantly envision, okay, what do I look like in 10 years? Do I look like the same person I am today, or do I want to look at something much more greater? And that's just something that pops in my head every single time that I feel comfortable.
That's a really good way to put it, because it's like your future self would hate this.
Right.
Like
Would
if your future self looked at you right now, you'd smack him in the face. Be like, get up. Let's go. That's good. I'm going to try that. That's a good trick. Thank you.
No, yeah, of course.
You told me something.
Of course. But yeah, I think it's just discipline, mindset, at least for me. I can't speak for everybody. I know a lot of people have different ways they're able to click and they're able to motivate themselves. But for me, it's discipline over motivation for sure.
I think it's the only way, right? I mean, we hear everyone say it. Shaw, our CEO, has a poster in the back of his office saying, hard work beats talent every time.
Yeah.
If you combine hard work and talent, then you're a beast.
Of course.
That's just kind of the basics. And a lot of this business, honestly, is just showing up and doing the same things over and over again, and then finding ways to elevate it and improve over time. But it's just showing up. A lot of people just give up and think that it's like you said it before, they're just waiting for a deal to cross their lap. You have to go out there and get it. You have to hunt it. That doesn't mean that you have to get into aggressive sales mode and your Wolf of Wall Street 24/7.
I love that movie, by the way.
Yeah, great one. It's hilarious. Apparently, it made no money or something. Like really? It made money, but they were sued for all these. I've got no idea. Actually, a fun fact: one of Jordan Belfort's, I think it was his first cold caller. He works for us.
Really?
Yeah, he's one of our telemarketers. I can't say his name, but yeah, he was, and he's pretty good on the phone. So yeah, but we were actually talking about it this morning in our sales meeting, that the super aggressive call approach doesn't really work anymore, because people just
They shut off.
Yeah, they smell salesmen
Yeah.
from a mile away. And so we're changing our approaches. Not that we're super aggressive, but the consumer direct division are taking like a softer approach. And
More human.
Yeah,
you don't
more,
want to come off as a robot. Hi, is this so and so? Can I have your permission to speak to you for so and so?
Right, for 10 minutes. Like, I don't know you. I don't want to know.
I don't know who you are.
10 minutes.
I don't know, like, especially today's day and age where you get scam calls all the time.
Oh my! How many do you get a day?
At least twice.
Oh, that's it?
At least twice.
Dude, I get like 10. If it's an out of state number, there's a 99% possibility for me that it's a junk call. Yeah. It's gotten to the point where I literally just don't pick it up anymore. And I have it in my voicemail greeting. If you're calling me from an out-of-state number I don't pick up, please text me. Right? Because it's like I can't. Like, and it's like it's a beep. Like there's always silence for like 2 seconds.
And then you speak.
You know, the beep is like, hello, this is so calling from so-and-so. And I was like, right, every time. It happened not the other day. This was literally yesterday. Where someone called and they were obviously from another country. It could be the Philippines, it could be India, I got no idea. But he's like, hello, this is Alex calling from so-and-so. I was like, your name isn't Alex. What's your real name? If you give me your real name, I'll talk to you. Yeah. And they just hung up. I was like, I had enough.
I think a lot of people fail in cold calling because they just, not that I'm an expert at it, I'm still an amateur for sure at it, but one thing I did pick up on from the get-go is you can't come off as this salesy because people, especially in New York, people can smell BS from a
mile away.
And
so easy for them, and for us, I should say.
Yeah. And especially if you are the 30th agent to call them that morning.
Oh yeah.
About the same thing.
Yeah.
They're gonna be pissed off. So you have to come to it in a different view, right? You can't just be same line like every other realtor uses.
Right.
But yeah, I think it's just more human. Like you have to come off as a human. You can't just come off.
I have a good disarm for that. So back in the day when I was building my business, I've been doing this 13 years now. So this was probably 12 years ago. I would cold call realtors for business, and my opening line was, hello, this is Ben Lavender from Madison Mortgage. I wanted to be the 13th loan officer that called you today for business. Am I the 13th, or do I need to call you back or like try tomorrow to be number 13? And 99% of the time it worked. Right, and it's like you could try the same thing. Like
you open with a funny line. Sometimes they'll be like, think you're stupid. Sometimes they'll be like, oh, okay, let me speak. Let me see what this guy has to talk about.
Yeah, it just shows that you're human. Because look, that even though that's risky, that's way better than, hey, this is Ben from Madison Mortgage. I close in under 30 days and my rates are great. Like that, like everyone says that. That's not going to do anything. Yeah. You know, so I think it's really about establishing that you're different very, very quickly, because until you've kind of broken that guard, and that's a good way to break it. They're on guard the whole conversation. Even if you're talking to them for 15 minutes, they're still on guard, even though you've kind of gotten them to speak by answering, by asking some questions to get them to give. It's still kind of on guard until they know like who you kind of really are personality-wise. So that's a huge part of it. David, talk to us about some of your other strategies that you go about for generating business. Are you into social media? Do you do a lot of podcasting? Do you like what else are you doing to kind of get your name out there?
Yeah, so this is actually my first podcast. I'm a big fan of podcasts. I love watching podcasts. But
Excellent.
This is my first podcast.
You're a natural, by the way.
So. Thank you. As far as lead generation and marketing, I think a big part is definitely Instagram. I mean, today's day and age, I think today's social media was 20 years ago newspaper ads or things like that. And
it's a great way to put it.
If you're not on social media, then you're losing business, I feel like. Right. And because especially with people, I saw a stat actually the other day. The average home buyer's age was last year who bought a home was around 38 years old. Yeah. So a lot of people, 30s, 20s, even teens, even 40s, are on social media. And if they just click a reel, they say, oh, he's a realtor in New York, or whatever the case may be, however they find you, that's going to generate a lot of business for you. And one thing I have run into since I am young, on the younger side in this business, is my sphere of influence. Not a lot of them are looking for homes. They're looking for rentals. Right. Maybe down the line, of course, to look to purchase. But that was one thing that really opened my eye. Like, wow, like no one around me is looking for a home. Like they're looking possibly even for a rental, if that, which is something I had to kind of, because a lot of realtors.
Yeah, how do you work around that?
So honestly, I
if it's your secret sauce, you don't have to.
It's not a secret sauce. A lot of agents use it. I work with Zillow. That generates me a lot of business as well.
And I will add, David, because I've worked with a lot of realtors on Zillow. Your approach, I don't know because I haven't heard what you say when you talk to them, but whatever you're doing, it's working, right? Because I've spent literally thousands. There was during COVID, the COVID period, I think I was spending $8,000 a month on Zillow with my agent partnerships. It was nuts. But like I haven't seen many that ever have a similar approach to you that. Because the clients, even though you haven't met them, right, they seem to trust you to know you well. And again, you don't have to give the secret sauce, but if you could give any advice or shed some light on your approach that makes it good, that would be great.
I think it comes down to personality and your attitude. Right. If the person can tell this person's money hungry, this person is just trying to get a lead, they're like desperate, they're going to put their guard up and be like, no, I work with another lender or whatever. I'm not interested in the home, or they won't even respond back to you. Right. With me, I really, like I said before, it just comes down to a human approach. Be relatable, be transparency. I think transparency is a huge thing in this business when it comes to new clients and clients on the line.
And it's one thing to say it, it's another thing to do it. So can you talk about what transparency looks like to you and your clients?
For me, I like to break down the process of buying a home with them first. I like to tell them, under this new law, we have to have a buyer agency agreement signed. Nice. Beforehand, like even before I refer them to any lender, like just so they know. I don't want any surprise down the road. As far as more transparency, I think it's just telling them, hey, I have this lender that I work with. They do great work. By the way, I do not make any additional money referring you to them. This way I'm better. I can offer better service to you.
I think it's great that you're saying it because you're essentially addressing an objection before it even is verbalized. Because
some people may think, oh, he's referring me because he's probably gonna get a cut if something, like the more people he refers, something like that. And I'm like, no, I just like referring you to this lender. Of course, it's an option for you. You're not obligated. That's another thing. I feel like if people feel like the pressure on them, if they're obligated to do something, they're not going to do it. If you give them an option like, here, you could take it. If not, it's perfectly fine. They will more likely take it because they don't feel obligated to do something. Right. So that's an approach I take as well. And I think
it's the beautiful part about it, Dave, is that it's simple. Anyone can do it. Yeah. I will add that I think it's ballsy, not in a bad way. It takes some cojones because the average agent that I run into is terrified to discuss buyer agency and how your conversation is immediately or early in the process. They'll prolong it as long as possible because they know that conversation could lose them the client if it doesn't go away. Yeah. Do you have advice for them on how they should approach it? Not that you're looking to make your competition better, but
honestly, in the beginning, truth be told, I was like, how am I going to get people to sign this thing? Like, you're going to agree to, on paper, my commission is whatever, 2.5, 3. Like, how am I going to explain this to them? So I think one thing, again, I don't want to be a broken record, but it just comes down to transparency. Explaining the agreement to the buyer in a way where it's simple, it's effective, and it tells them what it is. What's the purpose of signing this? You don't need to get into the details of like, oh, there was a lawsuit. Like you don't need to do that. It's unnecessary. I stay away from that as much as possible because you're overcomplicating it and then you're making it seem scary to the person. They're like, oh, I don't want to sign this. And another thing too, I think is a point of emphasis is like whether you work with me or you work with Joe Smith down the block, it's gonna be the same thing.
Right.
If you want to enter the home, if not, you can go attend an open house and maybe you want to deal with the seller's agent, but I wouldn't recommend that because they're the seller's agent for a reason. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's I just learned like the intricacies of the agreement. Like, okay, what does this mean? What does this mean? What does this mean? And I can hop on the phone call with a new buyer right now, explain to them, and not feel like I'm gonna get bombarded with a question I don't know, or like they're gonna hit me with an objection that I can't give them a proper answer to. So I just think practice practice out loud. Practice out loud. Go in front of a mirror. Go pretend you're on the phone and speak as you would to a client, and that helps a lot because it's one thing to say it in your head, and it's one thing to say it out loud.
Right.
And once repetition leads to confidence and
I'll actually give you proof that works. Yeah. So when I told you I was a personal trainer in college, and part of it wasn't typical personal training. It wasn't one-on-one. It's like group classes.
Okay.
Right. And one of my best friends, Mike, it was his gym, and I was helping him teach the classes, and I would drive on the way, and part of it was I had to spend about 5 minutes breaking down each station, right? Because the clients, they would move from one station of, pull parts or something, then the next station squats, and then sledge runs and whatever. I was absolutely terrified of doing that, of like doing the explaining, because it's public speaking. Yeah. Whenever I was an 18, 19-year-old kid, like most people don't, like adults don't listen to me, let alone a group of 20 of them is going to talk to me. So I didn't even, like, no one told me to, but on my drive to work, which was about 10 minutes, I would literally do exactly what you just said. I would just practice explaining it out loud to myself in the car over and over and over again until I at least got comfortable with saying it. Because that's one thing you're tackling, right, is the explanation of it. And then the other thing is the public fear, which you just gotta do it anyway. But that's so key. Exactly. If you're scared of it, if you're unfamiliar with it, we were going through it this morning as well with our course scripting for Consumer Direct. Same thing. Everyone just practices it out loud. Yeah. Right. You've got to, what's the word? You just have to take the leap.
Yeah. Right? You have to sometimes.
So, David, we are half an hour in, actually a little bit longer. I've got 2 questions left. We could honestly talk forever, but we'll have to just have you back. One, you're talking about who you would be in 10 years, right? Like that version of yourself. Yeah. Where do you see yourself being? I imagine it's pretty grand.
That's a good question. I think to summarize it, definitely great relationship with God. Great relationship as far as my family, my future wife, my current girlfriend, kids, beautiful home, and a great not workflow, but just I guess put it in simple terms. Me currently sitting here right now, if I take a peek in that, I'll be proud. I think that's what it would be.
I think it's also cool that you have this, because in 10 years you get to look back on this video, and there may be parts of you that are like, I'm really proud of myself, I did well, and there are other parts of you that have been like, shit, I should have done this differently or said this differently. But that's, hindsight's 20/20. Yeah. So, of course. We'll see, but I'm with you there. Okay, the second piece, it's not really a question, it's more of an idea that I had, where, how like on podcasts, people try and make the most mundane things sound like mic drops, right? I want to play a game with you where you try and make something mundane sound like it's epic, right? So you can pick what it is. It could be, you could just talk about how we have no inventory and that rates are really high, and that if, rates come down, the market's going to flood and prices are going to go up. It's what we've been saying for the past year. It could be something else. Right, but like whatever it is, you could take a second. There's no rush here. Take a second, and then, but you want to deliver it in a way like, there's no inventory. The market is crazy. Interest rates are high, but the second they drop, the market's going to explode, and there will be no homes left for people to buy. That's the challenge. Let's see what you got, David. If anything, no pressure. You got time.
That was a good one. I don't know how I.
You could use that if you want.
Yeah, that was a good one. It's a good because that's currently where we're in right now.
Right.
Let me think. I don't know.
What should we call this, Anthony? Mic drop moment. I like that idea, actually. Mundane mic drop moment. Mundane mic drop. Yeah. Mundane mic drop. I like it. Yeah.
Sheesh. I may have to just steal yours then.
So steal it. All right. Yeah, this isn't.
You want me to look in the camera?
Up to you. However you want to do it.
There's a low housing inventory in the United States of America right now. Interest rates are almost at an all-time high, even though they're not close to 18%, but they're up there. But as soon as the inventory comes up, interest rates come down, you are going to see a crazy boom in the housing market like you've never seen before.
I like that. That was great. That was really good, David. To put you on the spot with zero preparation, I think that was absolutely fantastic.
Thank you.
And the funny thing is, it's not that mundane. I mean, it's mundane because we know it.
Yeah.
But it is the truth, and people need to see it. So you can put that out there as however you want to put it out there. Okay, so let's wrap this up, David. Any final thoughts that you want to share with people, or even where people can find you, or how you would prefer people to reach out to you if they need you?
Yeah, I'm big on social media, so you can find me on Instagram at Orellana Real Estate _. If you click the link in my bio there, it'll direct you to I have a whole link, like my phone number, my email, my website, everything. So it's a one-stop shop. And I just want to thank you again for having me on the podcast, my first ever podcast. It was amazing. It was a pleasure.
An honor, I would say, for the first one.
Thank you.
So many more,
Likewise.
David. Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate it.
Awesome.